Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Geeks and Degenerates. I'm just with Nina because we saw the last video. Seb's still getting his fear over cakes, and Jomar's hiding in shame because of that.
Most horrible thing that we could give Seb is like a congratulations steak, but it's cake. Oh my god! Seb, are you okay? And so end the video now.
So,
no.
to me, today is just Nina and I, and we'll be talking about It Chapter 2.
Yes. Very exciting. I'm so pumped. I wish I was there for the first video because It and Conjuring, which are two of the horror movies which I have the balls to actually review and watch again, are the two movies that made me appreciate horror, or at least horror elements in movies. And this was really fun. I really like the characters, and again, I don't want to say I don't want to say slave or bitch because I feel that's enough. But I am a bitch to really good actors, and I love Jessica Chastain and James McAvoy, and it was so exciting to see them in this movie. And Bill Hader, oh my god, Bill Hader, great casting. So yeah, I was really pumped up. So what about you, Enzo? How did you feel with this movie coming into it?
One of the big concerns is like, are they gonna do? Is the adult cast going to do the younger cast justice and their portrayal of their older versions of themselves? And I saw the castings of like James McAvoy and Jessica Chastain. I was like, that's exciting. And then I saw Bill Hader. I was like, I'm sure he's a good actor, but I've never seen him be in a horror movie or something that leans towards the more dramatic side before. So going in, I was like, I'm kind of nervous. And the Adult Losers Club is one of the best things about this movie. It's a seamless transition from kids to adults. It's like this: the kid for Billy matured into James McAvoy, and Bev matured into Jessica Chastain.
Yeah, exactly. It was really great, and I liked when they would transition between. It was of course we're going to spoilers. Anyone who's watching
All our
the videos
videos
knows
are
that.
spoilers.
All our videos are spoilers, so I'm gonna talk about it right now. But the moments in the movies where they would have the kids like transition into the adult transition to the kids who would then transition back into adults, it was very, very fun to watch. And again, everyone's performances were great. Casting, there was really a point in this movie where I forget, I think it was towards the end. I know it's a weird thing that it was towards the end, but there was just something about them being able to portray the terror the same way the kids were able to really well. And just when they would talk about each other, I just really, oh no, sorry, it was in the beginning. The first time I thought about it was when they first met up again in the Chinese restaurant, in the really weirdly named Chinese restaurant that stuck out in my mind for some reason. And the chemistry was incredible. And I really said to myself, like, the casting director did a great job bringing these characters to life. Because honestly, I mean, no offense to Stephen King, I'm sure his books are great. I'm just not one to read books, and I don't know how well you're able to really get a character based on a book, and then but seeing it visually like represented, like you really could pick apart their personalities very well. And I thought Bill Hader was um the perfect transition from Finn Wolfhard's character. What's his name again? There were
Richie.
6 kids. It was really hard to remember. 7 kids. I'm sorry, 7 kids. It was really hard to remember.
Richie.
Yeah, Richie. Richie was really sorry. Richie was really great, wonderful transition between Finn Wolfhard to Bill Hader, and they were so fucking funny and so incredible. Actually, I was watching it with some friends, and Eddie's character for the adult. If anyone watched the movie and is watching this now, remembers Bev said, "How did no?" Eddie asked him, "How did I look like when I was older?" And she said, "Just taller. You just taller. Like something like you, but just taller now." And they got a guy who looked almost exactly like the kid, and even down to the way that his eyebrows would furrow, because Kid Eddie did that a lot, right? Yeah.
Including the fact that he married his mom, essentially, because that's the same
No!
actress.
No! We're gonna bring that into the. Ooh, that was a very ooh. I mean, oh, ooh, I don't want to like bring psychology, not psychology, but like statistics into this. But like, never mind. It's a really weird thing that I thought like I guess mama's boys are really attracted to people who remind them of their moms. I guess is my theory. I wouldn't know. I've never like dated a mama's boy or anything like that. But besides the point, even down to the furrow, he literally looked like a copy paste, and I was incredible. It was incredible how they could get an actor that could act so well and look like the child so well. But yeah, that was the time. Casting wise, incredible. What did you think? Or is there anything else you want to bring up to know?
I love the fact that they added more problems to the Poor Losers Club on top of their drama with Pennywise. Like, Bev is going through a relationship that's horrible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Eddie's still a scaredy cat, literally married his mom. I do like the choice of like, just get the same actress as his mom and see if anyone notices.
I didn't, but oh god.
Ben
Ah.
is, Ben's just lonely. Bill has writer's block. What else is this? But yeah, trauma. Just trauma on top of problems on top of their already existing trauma with Pennywise in the town. That is there.
Mhm. Yeah. So, in terms of like, let's say, how did you feel with the horror elements? Because I am struggling to call it a horror movie because I feel like it was a mix of actiony thriller with horror elements rather than full blown calling it a horror movie. How did you feel about the elements of being scared? Like, or in general, like my question coming down to it is, did you feel scared watching it? As I'm sure that's the goal of Stephen King when writing the book and stuff.
Not really. I mean, to be honest, some scenes were kind of funny. Like when Ben was back in school and he's being chased by Ghost Rider, and the Ghost Rider thing goes, January embers, and it's hers and fire. It's like, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, I understand that. I struggled myself. I'm a very big scaredy cat. If I didn't already say it in the Conjuring movie, I'm calling it now again. I'm a big scaredy cat. I struggle really for as much as I enjoy horror movies, I struggle really deeply with being able to watch them without doing this sometimes. Like in front of the screen. So I was able to watch it more or less all throughout, except for like the first big scare that happened for me that really got to me was was when we were with the bully. I don't know what it was. Was it like a mental health institute or something,
yes.
or jail, like a jail is mental health place for the loony guys?
An asylum, basically.
Yeah, an asylum. There you go. Because I was trying to find a more sanitized word for it, but good. Asylum is the best, probably.
Mm-hmm.
An asylum for him, and the moment where the balloon was there and he was trying to pull at it, that was the only time I actually went like that. So that's a gauge for how scary. The rest of the movie was quite, like I said, horror elements, but not entirely horror movie. Just because, or I don't know. It depends on people's how do I say this, definition of horror movie. But to me, this wasn't so much horror. But I'm still willing to learn. If anyone has a comment on what your definition of a horror movie, we'd love to hear it. So please comment down below. So yeah, but yeah, I agree with Enzo. Didn't get scared that much, but yes,
the scene with the old lady kind of got me, just because the way she moves. It's like, oh god, stop it, Lala, please.
And then she wasn't wearing clothes, so it was really awkward to look at. So you were kind of like, am I allowed to look at this? It's a naked grandma. You're naked grandma.
when I first watched this, actually, it was me, my cousin, sister, and I, and we dragged my sister into this. And then she was just scared out of her mind.
Did she watch the first one?
No, we were just like, just come with us.
How did she get the context of what they were scared of?
We're like, we'll just fill you in. And then, like, 5 minutes into the movie, she's like, I want to cry. It's like, oh.
Did she say that?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
But My God, the way this movie opens in Modern Town There, it opens in such a horrific way because it begins with a hate crime essentially. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
fucking hell, this is the tone of the movie again. It's like
Yeah.
how the first movie starts with a child's arm being ripped away from him. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
this is the tone.
exactly.
Oh, cool. My God, what am I in for?
Yeah, exactly. Because I feel like um something that the people I was watching with, one of them actually said, there's something about Stephen King writing small towns that really doesn't do justice to, like, doesn't do any good for them, because it just looks like they're really hateful towards like anything that's not a straight white person in general. so like so it was really like, oh god, like I was like, oh yeah, you're right, that's awful. The way he's portraying small towns is really awful. It's like small town slander or something. But yeah, it essentially starts off with a hate crime. Personally, I didn't get the point of it other than let's just kill everybody, you know? I don't understand why it had to be. I mean, like, I guess it could have been any couple, but you know what I mean? It was just like, I didn't understand what the goal of them showing the hate crime was. Like, if they wanted to show Pennywise just kill someone, they could have just done that, but that's just coming from me.
I think it's because they were trying to follow a scene from the book, which I've read, where the scene happens how you see it.
Okay, so it really just happens as you see it.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, like, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't see, well, I obviously I have an issue with, like, burying your gays trope, which is the trope in and of itself that I can probably talk about in a separate video, but there's just something about how gay couples can never have a happy ending because someone always has to die. But I mean, but I understand if it comes from a genuine place of, like, it comes with the story, but again, we didn't know any of these people. I didn't really care for them, so whatever. It just sets the tone. That's the tone of the movie.
Yes, it casts
And
the stone, definitely. um,
and so please, no, I'm just kidding. Someone has to be offensive. I'm just kidding. Oh, we're in so much trouble. We're gonna get in so much trouble. I'm just kidding. We're not gonna. But anyway,
stop triggering my anxiety, please. Like,
I'm
Lena
just
says,
joking.
Lena says you're trouble. Like, oh God, what did I do? Anyway,
No, I'm just kidding. But anyway, yeah. But the first, seeing Pennywise again. Oh my God, how can we forget this? One of the other stars of the show, Pennywise. Like Bill Skarsgård. Woo! Great
it's
job.
amazing.
So
Oh my
good.
God.
Gives you really creepy vibes, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's his goal, you know.
I mean,
Wouldn't be a good...
we got
Yeah.
to gush about him in the other video, but what do you think of his take on Pennywise? And have you seen the Tim Curry one?
I would if I had time, but I have seen clips of it. I think Bill Skarsgård does a great job of making Pennywise both his own as well as sticking true to the spirit of what Pennywise would be as a villain. You know what I mean? It's one who torments people through fear, and who, it's like, you know, I gain power through your fear, and like, you know, like I and would you say that this is more like a cosmic horror type of
Oh, definitely.
yeah, right? It's very cosmic horror, where you have like no idea where he came from, what his motive is, but essentially is the epitome of fear. You don't have to know these things to not be fearful of it. Like, I'm a sucker for good lore when it comes to horror ghosts or villains in general, or horror entities. But there's also something terrifying about, again, like we all know, the unknown. The unknown can be terrifying, and I think that's, you know, Bill Skarsgård lends well to the villain. I think it's almost incredible that you don't even think that he's a handsome guy until after you see it, like, without the makeup. And you're like, yeah, he's handsome. But they do that. How did they manage to do that and make him look like that? You know what I mean? The big forehead and everything. Or I don't know. I know people might not think he's handsome, but whatever.
How do you turn a handsome man into a reminder of why everybody hates clowns?
Oh God, Stephen
Um,
King making a note.
Seb said something very interesting yesterday, is that when most Stephen King villains that deal with the cosmic horror stuff, is that it's not really them that's terrifying, it's what's powering them that's terrifying. in Pennywise's case is the fear that he feeds on to allow this thing to fester in Derry. So he just feeds off the town and feeds off the kids' fears. So he goes ever more powerful.
Yeah, exactly. It's really interesting, and again, there's just something inherently terrifying about something that like, just again, something that you don't really know of, and you don't, like, even if you technically know a way to beat it, like, it was a really convoluted way of defeating it, kind of, which is a point that I will get to. It's a bit of my gripe what ended up happening, and it lends to the joke of that the movie kept saying was, I didn't really like the ending, which I didn't hate the ending and I didn't dislike it. It was just something that I have a gripe with, and but we'll get onto that later or even after this point. But yeah, I agree with Seb. That is a really good point. And yeah, is there anything else that you want to talk about?
Before we move on, I just like to talk about the cast and how it kind of proves that both them and the previous actors are very strong actors, and the kids definitely have a strong future ahead of them. Like, there's a scene towards the end with McAvoy and Jaden Martell when they're talking like, you let Georgie die, and they're exchanging words, and you're like, god damn, this kid's a really good actor.
Yeah, he's a really good actor. I love that interaction because you really saw Bill's kind of trauma, because even if he's a grown man, losing your losing a family member, especially the way that he did, where you feel like it's your fault, that if I had only played with him, he would have stayed home, therefore he wouldn't have died. That's really traumatic, even for someone who's all grown up, because that's a fear that you would always think, if I had done that, would that have changed things? And I feel like that's a testament to something that a lot of people can relate to, where if only I had done this in retrospect, would my life would have changed. I would still have this major part of my life losing again, especially in such a violent way, where and a traumatic way, because again, it ends up being like a horror entity. Who the hell? There's such thing as, like, maybe, a car accident is very traumatic, or just, I don't know, like, even a violent way to die is very traumatic, but a horror entity? How do you even begin to, like, there's no therapy for that. There's no, by the way, my sibling died to something that I have no possible words for, or like, no, there's no therapy group for that. What are you gonna do? So I really like that plot point. You actually said that was another traumatic point that I realized we didn't say when you were talking about Bill. You were like, he has writer's block, and I was like, was that just it? I feel like there was more.
But yeah,
So, yeah.
I said problems of the trauma of him being like,
Yeah, exactly.
my brother died and I couldn't do anything about it. Another scene with Jaden Martell I really like was the scene where he's asking Pennywise, why Georgie? Just why?
Why exactly? That was another one that really got to my head. And then seeing, like, Pennywise, like, at the sewer where it all started, like, woo! It really, like, James McAvoy and Jaden Martell, woo, really great. And it's just really, really wonderful. And I love, again, I'm such a sucker for actors who are first in movies. I couldn't actually, I don't know if you have this problem, and this is a bit of an off topic, but do you ever have this problem where you're looking at a very well-known actor and you don't see them as the character but the actor, you're just like, it's James McAvoy, it's Jessica Chastain?
For me, it's the opposite. It's like damn, he really is Bill. They recasted well.
Yeah, they did.
That happens to me when it's like a bad movie. It's like, wow, Jared Leto was really Jared Leto in the weirdest way in Suicide Squad.
Oh god, yeah. Well, that makes sense. I have the opposite problem, but it makes sense your honestly, I'd rather have your problem in the sense that great, like, bad movies, but even with good movies, I'm like, that's the actor I really like. So anyway, yeah. Yeah, go.
What other dramatic scenes did you like?
Give me like 1 second. I think I really like the
Because there's one I don't want to take it from me because you might have more interesting points for me because it's a subject that don't really have anything to add on to that because I don't identify with that. Not that it's a
Uh,
bad thing.
I feel like I know which one you're talking about, so
Yeah.
I won't take it from you. But I really enjoyed the ending scene where they were all kind of, oh god, no, the dramatic scene that really got to me, that almost made me cry. This movie didn't make me cry, so that's actually pretty crazy that I didn't cry. But the last part where um King Stanley was giving everyone his letter and reading it out, and we were having the flashbacks of both the kids and the adults back and
Mhm.
forth, right? Where they were all together, or I mean, not together, but they were all doing their own thing, happy. And then we would go back to them as kids, like biking down the road. Like, that almost got to me.
Yeah.
It gave me goosebumps because the fact that he said, I know this is not a suicide note because I know that I couldn't make it, and if I have to take myself off the table, all of us have to be there. So I'll take myself off the table. I was like, when Richie said like, "Oh, he's the weakest member," I was like, "Really?" And then when he like that letter really goes to show like, no, he was the strongest one because he sacrificed himself to make sure that that entity wouldn't just end up not torturing, tormenting his friends, but would also stop tormenting the entire town. Like, that really goes to show, wow, that was a big twist that I wasn't expecting, and I was really happy that they kind of like subverted the idea that he did suicide because he was terrified, but more because he knew better for the sake of his friends. So I was like it really made me I was almost bawling. I was so close. I was like, "Grrr."
Yeah,
Grrr.
that almost got to me the first and few other times I watched this movie. I was like, God damn, this movie's really good at pulling heartstrings sometimes. Uh,
Yeah. But what was your point? I want to
uh,
hear your point.
I like the struggle of Richie and his struggle of accepting himself, like, because he's gay, right?
Yeah, oh my god. Oh yes, I actually meant to ask you. I'm very good at reading gay subplots. But this was really difficult, and I have to ask you, was he gay for you? Did you get that also, or was that just me?
Um,
Or was I reading into it too much, is what I'm saying.
oh, I just found watching the movie, I was like, oh, so he's gay. That's cool. And it plays into his story because like he's hiding it, and like Pennywise mocks him for it. That's another dramatic scene I really like where his flashback ends and you see the pain on Bill Hader's face. It's like, God damn, he's a really good actor. But poor Richie, struggling with his thing and being in a town that we didn't accept him then as it does. Well, it doesn't really accept them now either. Well,
Yeah,
a few folks
exactly.
don't, and either way.
Yeah, I struggled to come to terms with that myself, in the sense that I was just like, am I reading into it that he's gay? And my friend who I was watching with was like, no, he's gay, Nina. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm not over, because I like to see if they're I make a joke, oh, that's a gay subplot, haha, funny, even though it's not actually, or like it's just implied. But the fact that it was that you got it through, that makes me feel a little better, because I was like, oh, they're just children, or I mean, they were just children, and then they were adults, and I was like, am I don't want to be the person that's always like, that's gay, like. But yeah, I'm. It's a difficult thing to come to terms with. Again, I think it lends. Now that I think about it, I think the first scene lends to the homophobia that there tends to be in at least this fictional small town, and it goes to show like how terrifying it must be to come out, or even be closeted. Even being closeted as at all is terrifying for someone who's trying to hide it for the sake of their safety. And it's really difficult to come to terms with, because especially if you have feelings for a friend who may not be gay and may shun you for it, because as much as you're close with somebody, you know you're still, like, some people have a difficulty like being like, oh, a same-sex person is into me, what the fuck, that's weird. But that's a whole topic again for another day. But I agree. That was that was something to that was really dramatic, and it really got to me too. Now that I think about it.
Did you like the cameo by Stephen King?
Yes, I did. I thought it was adorable.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Stanley kind of like, hey, cool, like that's Stephen King, and I can't believe I got Stephen King's face because it's not as if like he's a famous like, sorry, not a like he's not like an actor that shows up on screen so often enough that you remember his face for sure. But the fact that I was like, that's Stephen King, my friend was like, oh, that is, oh man, I was like, yeah, that is cool, I got it, I got the cameo.
I was about to say, what do you mean, not famous? Hero?
No, I mean like he wrote the book exactly. I'm just saying like, you know, he's not someone who's on screen often, and I wasn't expecting it for sure because I didn't think he was much of someone who wanted to act in his own movie. Like he doesn't seem like the kind of personality considering like all things considered.
Yeah.
But whatever, it was cute. I loved it. What did you think?
I love how he leans into the joke like, nah, I don't write good endings either.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I actually felt really bad about that because objectively and the endings are not really the best. Like concept wise, the way it's executed up and all the way up until the climax, great, 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 great. When speaking of ending, I think we can start talking about it, like his ending. I have thoughts, but I want to hear yours first.
I really like the fact the rich role didn't really pan out the way Mike thought it would. He's like, I hope it works out because I'm kind of bullshitting. Please God, please God, please let it work out. And then when it does, it's like, oh fuck, we're all fucked. What we're going to do now?
Yeah.
The ending. I think when we were watching it in the theater, my sister and cousin just kept laughing at the ending because it's kind of funny to think of like him just going, I am the eater of worlds, and they're going, you're a stupid clown, you're a poo-poo face,
Yeah.
fuck you. It was like, really? No matter how much I try to justify it in my head, like, that's kind of stupid.
Yeah, exactly. That is exactly what I was saying. Is that my friends and I were also saying the same thing. We were like, he's the eater of worlds, and yet with the lowest self-esteem in the world. Like, that's really it. Like, we're really gonna end it like that. And it was like that portion was very unsatisfying. But the actual ending portion where everyone was happy kind of made up for it. But the climax was really like, really, we're gonna do this?
Alright.
Like, yeah.
No, I was about to say, like, I do love the scene before that where Richie was about to throw something at him and he just stops and his tracks just goes,
Yeah, like,
like, goddamn, Blade is such a good actor. To go from full emotion to just dead. It's like, fucking hell. That's great acting right there. But
yeah, it is great acting, yeah.
I do love the scene where he's so mad at Pennywise that he just rips off one of his legs.
Yeah, his legs.
Like, yeah, good for you, Richie. But yeah, all these years later, I'm just like, really? That's how you're gonna kill Pennywise?
You're gonna make fun of him?
I haven't finished the book, so I don't know the true ending. It might take me to the next decade because it is a big book. But like, yeah, it's like, really? That's how you're gonna end this? Okay, cool, I guess.
Yeah, it was kind of really unsatisfying because you feel like this whole thing was leading up to some really complicated ritual where again they had to look for their tokens and they had to say like what was the phrase, something light, something dark,
Yeah, something like that. I kind of forgot
Like-
because like, really, your poo-poo face, go away. It's like, ah, fucking hell.
Yeah, exactly. You know, they were leading up to this really complicated thing that made them have to face the demon that was tormenting them for 27 years, and then it ends in just like, you're a poo poo face, and then like the only thing that kind of was really impactful for me, save for the fact that lunacy of them going, you're a poo poo face, was seeing Pennywise be in that form, that little like small form with the beating heart, and he really looked pathetic. And for a second, you actually feel a little sorry for him. I don't know how you felt about it, but I felt sorry for him because it was very like, wow, that's really sad to look at. And all this, it was leads into this sad little thing. But the thing is that again, Eater of Worlds with the lowest self-esteem. What was that?
Yeah. It's like, I guess Stephen King or whoever tries to write Stephen King can't even come up with a good ending either. So like, I guess that's a curse that goes down from movie to movie or book to book. Uh,
Yeah, it was because compared to the first one, it was a lot more impactful. I mean, it was a lot more impactful. I feel the first movie's ending was because you knew that he fed on fear. So to not be afraid in his face was actually quite satisfying to see, especially as children, because when you're a kid, there's you tend to be more impressionable. So something that's really scary is really scary to you, and so seeing them hurt Pennywise by not being fearful to him, that was really satisfying to watch. But watching this, it was kind of like, really, we're gonna do this around again of the I'm not afraid, you're a poo poo face, and it was really, it really sucked to see. And I was hoping for something more, I just expected more from it, because they kept making the same joke, like, oh, it's a bad ending, I didn't like your ending. And I was like, maybe they'll have a better ending. No, they didn't. Maybe that's why. Maybe
I,
that's why they kept making the joke, because they knew better.
the irony, I swear, it's like, really? Okay. But yeah, as you said,
Yeah.
the ending was, it's kind of ends on a beautiful note. We were like, they're all happy. They can all live in peace now. That's wonderful. And this town is free
Yeah.
of Pennywise. Good for them.
Yeah, they really did good, because again, it's not as if the town was very nice to them growing up, but it goes to show like, oh, they're heroes, and friendship is magic. Just kidding. Friendship is magic, and love is what conquers all, and self-esteem is the best. Like, honestly, I didn't know the lesson of the movie other than and then like no, don't be afraid of fear. The greatest fear of all is fear itself, or something like that, right? It's like, it's kind of cliche, but that's all I can really get out of the movie, other than like, oh Jesus, what? Oh God, I mean, sorry, I don't want to jump ahead, but what came in my mind just now was another impactful scene, because you asked me earlier, was when the bully stabbed Eddie through the cheek and you could see the knife in his mouth. I don't want to end the talk without talking about that first.
That was kind of funny to me too. It's like, why? It was like, it's supposed to be scary or funny. Decide, please, because I can't decide for myself. It's more funny to me. It's like just seeing the actor just go, why.
And then he was like, dude, cut that mullet. It's been 30 years.
You said the letter of Stanley got to you. Richie breaking down in the river. It's like, fucking hell, that's rough.
Yeah, that
poor
was
Richie.
really rough too. Oh God. And then like, speaking of like that lake part, the kiss between our grown up fat kid and Bev was really annoying. It was kind of awkward to watch, because I was just kind of like, I get that it's a good looking, like, it looks good in theory, but when you like apply real life, like if you applied it to real life, it would be really weird, because imagine kissing in dirty water like that.
They're fine.
You open your mouth, it's like, good, okay, fine, it looks great, good job, but whatever, leave it to that shit, right? But yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it is kind of clean. Then again, it is murky looking. I don't know.
I mean, whatever, leave it to, they didn't have like, they didn't get sick, so it's not that bad. It can be that bad, right?
Exactly. It's not like they're in like a hospital vomiting their guts out the next day. It's like, I guess the water is clean enough to do that.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not gonna like go into the specifics. Like, suspension of disbelief, fine, I'll let that be. It was just kind of weird, because I thought about like the dynamics of the group, and like, don't you think it's kind of weird when like you liked one kid, like you liked the kid, like a kid growing up, but then you end up with another guy, but then you kissed one of the guys, and then now you're kissing the other guy, and I was like, that's a bit of it's a little like, that's a little weird. Because what does that do for the dynamic of the friendship? No one talked about it. They just kissed. Like there was no emotional like, I think I like you ever since we were kids. Like does Bill just say, okay, I guess she doesn't like me anymore, I'll go back to my wife, as if I didn't just cheat on her? Like,
Yeah.
like, sorry, it was, for me, like, doesn't it kind of like make you feel weird? Like, he has a wife.
Yeah,
He's kissing
exactly.
his childhood friend.
It's like when I did that, I was like, sir, you have a wife? What are you doing?
That's what I said. I was like, you have, like, I kept screaming at the screen because I was like, you have a wife. Like, the morals of cheating, like, there is no, that is immoral, sir. Like, fine, I can forgive Bev because she's leaving her husband soon anyway. It doesn't matter. I mean, it kind of does in like, I don't know. For me, it's kind of justifiable, like, kind of.
Yeah, but we all
Cheating is bad.
assume it's like, well, her husband's an asshole anyway. It's a physically abusive relationship, emotionally abusive relationship, so good for her for leaving.
Yeah, exactly.
But when Bill's like, you have a wife, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, like, you have a wife that you can fix things with. Like, I know that your wife kind of said something bad about you earlier in the movie, but that's not a justifiable reason to cheat on her. Even, like, especially with a childhood friend that you maybe have had feelings for since you were a kid. Like,
All she said was like, yeah, your endings kind of suck too. I kind of
yeah,
agree with the director.
exactly.
So it's like,
Yeah, exactly.
why? I don't know. Okay.
Was his wife a redhead?
No, that's because of the blood effects on her. I think just
Oh, okay.
blonde.
I thought it would be quite like, fucked up to a certain extent if she ends up being a redhead because he never got over Bev.
Yeah. Like how Eddie not never got over his mom. It's like, I need to marry a woman that looks exactly like my mom. It's like, that's a weird requirement, sir, but okay.
Yeah. But anyway, what else was really impactful for you in the movie that before we close things up?
I think one gripe is that the bully was there just to resolve that arc, and he just went away after he was killed. Like it's kind of like he didn't really have to be there.
Yeah,
If they
it was a very
removed him. It would have been fine.
Yeah, it would have been the same movie otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I agree with that because when I thought of like thinking on it, like what was the relevance of this bully other than to just be a nuisance? Like there was no emotional attachment between any of the characters and him other than the trauma, but the way they resolved it was just they just fought him. There was no like, you were an asshole to me and you were the reason that I was like this and this and this and this growing up. Like there was no like emotional reason to have him there, and yet he was there, and I was like, really, we're gonna do this? Like,
And he wasn't even, very physically intimidating either, because Mike slams him through a table. It's like, oh, I guess he's not a threat to you. Okay. Good
yeah.
for you, Mike. But yeah, he gets killed by Richie, and you're like, I guess that's the end of that. That's
Yeah,
weird.
exactly. I have one more gripe. I struggled with Mike's character.
Really?
I really do. Not because, not because I struggle to figure out if he's a well-written character, and if he's not just a token character. Because, admittedly, what makes a token character is by having their being present for the sake of diversity, but having very little characterization. Now I'm on both. I'm very like divided on the spectrum because I understand that we do get a little bit of his background. We understand what his struggle was growing up, but he wasn't as fleshed out in the first movie, and even in the second movie, for as much screen time as he had, he only served to push the plot forward for the sake of like, I'm the one who knows how to defeat Pennywise. I've been the one who never left Derry, and like it really got to me because I'm struggling to come to terms as to like coming to the conclusion of whether or not he is a well-written character, because I don't know about how you feel about it, but more or less like he only served to just kind of was there to help them defeat Pennywise at the end of the
Yeah.
day. Like, sure, they had bonds, but again, like they were not. He was not as fleshed out compared to everyone else's backstories. All he wanted to do was go to Florida, and was the child of two parents who happened to be druggies and died.
Yeah.
And then that, like, but I want to hear your opinion. Like, I was
Yeah.
gonna ask you guys this.
Well, now that you brought it up, he looking back, he's like, he really was just there to be like, guys, we have to go back to Derry, and this is what you have to do. We'll go our separate ways, and aside from that, there's not much development. Like, what else has Mike been doing for all these years? Is he just hiding up in this library home? Is that it? Okay.
Yeah,
Is he a detective? It's up to you. It's like, okay. Like, what's Mike's character? He's like, the only characterization I could think of is like he's the token black guy. That's the worst I could-
and that really sucks, right?
Yeah.
Because it really doesn't do justice to what Mike could have been. I feel like he could have really had like something going for him. That was a really that. It just. I think it speaks to its time. When did Stephen King write this?
1980s, I assume. Yeah, 1980s.
Yeah, right. So, it was kind of like I don't want to. It's not an excuse, and I don't want to excuse Stephen King considering he's still alive today and he is literally making still money off of his material from the years past. But like, I don't know. I just feel like it is at the end of the day a product of its time. Stephen King is a white man who writes and who writes about who happened to write a black character, and it just kind of and a girl character again, token girl, token guy, but the girl wasn't more of a token because we really got to see her whole shebang, the whole thing, her whole arc. So that's my only gripe. I want to hear people's comments personally. Like, what do you think? Do you think Mike is just a token black character, or do you think there's more to it than I'm seeing it as? So, or we're seeing it as. So, yeah, that's really it. That was my one gripe because I was like one gripe in terms of like the way they wrote the characters. So, what about you, Enzo?
Yeah, those are the really only gripes I could think of. The bully and Mike's uncharacterizations, like that's about it. But is there anything else you want to bring up?
First, I don't think so. I still think it is a really good movie, and I appreciate the horror elements of it. It's not a perfect movie, but in my rating, you'll see that it's pretty high up there for me. Since I don't, I like to watch horror movies every once in a while when I have the bravery to do so. But
Yes.
yeah.
It's a struggle to get Nina onto the spooky videos. It's like, please, just one. I swear, just one.
I do once a week. I'm still doing once a week, so there's
Yeah.
gonna be I'll show up in 4 this month, but I really can't, for the sake of my heart and my anxiety. Like, I can only handle once a week.
That's fine. That's fine. It's like if it's not your thing, it's fine. We won't force you, and we don't force our host to do anything, right, people? No, it's fine. But yeah, with all those things being said, what would you rate this movie?
I would rate it a 8 out of 10. It's very much above average. It is not a perfect movie, but it is like both quality and entertainment, and entertaining for me. So that's it. The only 2 points that I docked off were the ending, as well as Mike's characterization. The bully wasn't so much of a big issue for me, but those two points really docked off the points for me. So, Enzo?
I'll also give it an 8. I think this is a really good movie. I know this is not as loved as the first one, but I don't see why it has like a really somewhat mid score in Rotten Tomatoes. Be like, I was really good. Aside from Mike and the bully and the ending, all things considered, I think these 2 movies are ones that you should really check out. Even if you're not into horror, this has a great story and an overall reaching arc of these characters, especially the Losers Club, and to see their beginnings and conclusion is very satisfying to see. And
Yes.
Seb yesterday showed how big the book was, and to see how Andy Muschietti just trans adapted it into a way that is very easily digestible for the viewing public. To be like, oh, I get the story, and not come out of being like, I don't understand what the fuck was going on. It's very
Yeah.
praiseworthy and deserves all the praise in the world for being like, you adapted that huge book successfully, and I really can't wait to see what he does next, because I think he's doing the Flash movie with Ezra Miller and Affleck and Keaton, so I'm kind of looking
Yeah.
forward to that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. I just want to make one more statement before we end. I agree. To jump off of Enzo's point of if you're not into horror, if you're like me and you struggle with horror, but still would like to enjoy it, I think this is a great movie to start you off with because, like I said, it is not. It's about to die, but it may not. My laptop's about to die. I didn't want to like.
I know
say
you
it
meant
out loud,
you. I
but-
was like, that minute, she's like, Nina just died. I think I need to cut this video.
Oh my god, Enzo, please.
No, that should never happen. Isn't even one. Anyway.
We're gonna knock on wood. But for those who struggle with horror the same way that I do, please give this a watch. It is not as terrifying as other movies. Not to say that it isn't worth watching just because it's not as scary. Just because it's not as scary doesn't mean overall the horror elements really lend into the story wonderfully and they're seamlessly put in, and it's really like intertwined well. And I think that if you struggle with horror like me, this is worth watching for you, and it is worth just a little more anxiety than usual. But I promise the payoff in the end is so satisfying, at least if you don't consider the horror ending of it. But if you consider the story, like the story of the characters, that the Losers Club, if you like those kinds of like heartwarming stories of friendship and camaraderie, you will really enjoy this. Please give it a watch. Especially if you don't want to read the book, which is a whole chore in and of itself. Even if you like books, long books are hard to go through, so worth watching. It's about 5 hours of your life, 5 or 6 hours of your life. That's fine, compared to what could be months of work on a book. Worth giving it a try. Stephen King is good. Stephen King is popular for a reason. You know what I mean? He still makes great stories. For as much as the endings can be a bit iffy at times, there's a reason that he is so renowned and well loved and so well known. So please give it a try, because I really am vouching for this movie for people that are scaredy cats like me. So that's saying something.
Yes. And as we wrap up our Stephen Week continues with one movie that is considered one of the best horror movies of all time, and we kind of, well, at least Jomer and I and Seb, if he's joining, and Edwin, I think are like, really, is it the best? And we'll talk about that in the next video.
What do you want to talk about the movie, or is that gonna be a sneak peek? Like, is this just a teaser for it?
I may have Jack Nicholson, that's all I'll say.
Alright. Everyone knows where that's gonna go, so
Yeah.
we'll end it here.
Yeah, Nina, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at 9_na. I have Twitter, but I'm not active, so Instagram is where you can find me. Please don't add me on Facebook. Just kidding. Please don't add me on Facebook.
Me too,
everywhere.
please don't add us on Facebook. You can
Please don't
follow
add us
us.
on Facebook. Definitely. Yeah, you can message us on the Discord of Geeks and Degenerates Cesspool. That's fine, but please don't add me on Facebook. I don't know why you would, but like if you do, that's kind of
Yes.
kind of weird.
We love
You
our
know?
fans, but there's a line, and there's a line we draw on the sand, and the Facebook is the line. It's like, oh no, that's too much.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you can find me on Instagram, also on Twitch, but I haven't been streaming recently. I will soon though. So yeah, I also stream on Geeks and Degenerates. Follow us there, so you can find me there too.
As Nina said, we can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Geeks and Degenerates. We have a Discord community, so you can talk to us personally. I have a Twitter and Instagram. The links are down below. Again, please don't add us on Facebook. Why would you say such a thing? Not that they're like, I wonder what their Facebook name is. Like, God. But yes, thank you so much for watching our videos, especially our spooky videos, and we'll continue Spooky Month as this month goes on. But we'll see y'all next time, and please do stay safe, wear a mask, social distance, and get vaccinated as soon as possible, and if you can. And that's been our video. Thank you once again for watching, and we'll see y'all next time. Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.